Hi everyone, it's Dandelion from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to create this fun floral truck card, and it's just going to have tons of dimension, all these beautiful flowers, some bees and birds. We're just going to have some fun today. So let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at this set. This is called the Floral Truck Set, and you can see you get this cute little truck. You get all the flowers, the little pots of flowers, the butterfly, that banner, and the little sign that says fresh flowers. So we're going to use almost everything from this set, and there's a closer look at what you're getting, and you do get the coordinating dies as well. So let's go ahead and place these in the Mini Misty Stamp Positioner. For ink, I'm using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I've got some Strathmore Bristol Smooth Cardstock in there. Now, I won't be using that little additional piece to the truck that's stamped up at the top right-hand corner, so I'm going to skip that, but you certainly could color that in as well, and that would pop up on your truck and give it a little more dimension. But we're going to be popping up that little sign that says Fresh Flowers. So I started off with the light gray. These are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and those colors will be listed in the upper left-hand corner as we're going along. I'm also using the Zig Blender pen to do my blending. I'll switch over to the gray, and just to add a little bit more of shading on the hubcaps on our truck. And then I've got blue gray and dark agate. So these two will be really nice together to create a little bit of shadowing. So I'm going to start with that lighter blue, and then I'll just add some of that darker blue for some shadowing in between those little panels on the truck. Now, a lot of that will be covered by our little sign, but I wanted to show you how I went about coloring this. Now, you could use a water brush here as well if you prefer that. Either way is just fine. And we're going to create this kind of like a little pop-up flower shop on the street or on a little brick sidewalk. So we'll get to that here in a second. And then we're going to be adding a few elements from some of our other stamp sets. I'm going to use the Birds and Bugs set to add a few birds, and we'll add a little bee to one of these pots. And then we're also going to be using one of our Front Porch Series stamp sets for a little topiary. And again, a lot of those sets will work. I'm going to flip through them quickly so you can see what sets are available. I mean, there's just tons of them, and the flowers size-wise coordinate with these flowers really nicely. So if you want tons more flower ideas or just greenery in little pots, you have a lot of choices. And again, I'll show you those coming up shortly. So for the tires, I'm using Cool Gray number 6. I think I've said this in videos before. I don't always reach for the black. The black sometimes, to my view, looks like it has a little bit of a purpley tint. So I tend to go to these cool grays, and I get more of that look that I'm going for. The haze blue will just be to add a little bit of a glimmer to the glass and to the headlights, and it just adds a little bit of dimension there, a little bit of interest to those windows. And then for the little pots, I'm going to color them all the same, and I'm using deep vermilion and then a little bit of mid-brown. I'll place the mid-brown on each side and just pull that in towards the center. So again, I did those all the same. And then for the flowers, I used a variety of pinks and lavenders and greens. And if you go to my blog, which will be linked down below, you'll see the entire list of colors that I used. Now, as far as all the products go, all of those products will be listed and linked down below, as well as on my blog. I've got my steel die cutter from Art Impressions. I'm going to separate these dies, and let's go ahead and tape these down. I'm using a little bit of Post-it tape to hold that die in place. Just take a little time to line these up, and then I'm taping them down, and we can run these through the die cutting machine all at the same time. So once we have those die cut, let's go ahead and grab the Wink of Stella clear glitter pen and add a little bit of sparkle to each of these flowers. For some of them, I'm just adding a little sparkle in the center. For some of them, I'm coloring in the entire flower, so it's up to you. I just wanted to add a little bit more interest to these flowers. And then for that, the hubcaps on the truck, I'm going to add some there, a little bit on the headlights, and then I'll completely cover this little sign in the clear glitter. Now I've got the birds and bugs set that I talked about a little bit earlier. And this is a great little set, a great little add-on to a lot of your projects. It's got the birds, the bees, which we'll stamp all 3 of each of those. There are some cute little ladybugs, and there's also a couple of butterflies. So this is really great. Now I've grabbed my light blue and my cobalt blue to do the bird, and I added a little bit of pink to the cheeks. I'm going to just blend these out. These do have coordinating dies, which is really nice because they're so tiny. It would be a little difficult to cut these out. So with the dies, it's going to make it a lot easier. I'll just show you a couple of the birds, and then we'll move on to those bees. I did that 3rd bird off camera. And for these, I'll use haze blue, yellow, and bright yellow. So haze blue on the wings, just to add a little shadow. And starting with the yellow, and then we'll add a little bit of the bright yellow. So these are really quick and easy to color in. At this point, I wasn't exactly sure how many of each of these I was going to use. I only did end up using 1 bee on the front of the card and 1 on the inside of the card. And I used all 3 of the birds. So let's grab those coordinating dies. Again, we'll go back to that Post-it tape and we'll tape these down. I'm using the Sizzix Sidekick machine to run these through. And now that we have all of these die cut, let's go ahead and take a look at Sunny Studio. Look at these little ground items. You have bricks, you have stones, and you have like wood planks. And this is called Sprawling Surfaces. I absolutely love this. I know I'll be using it over and over again. It's great for just grounding your scene. And it does fit in the Mini Misty. I'm just centering my cardstock a little bit so that it'll fit straight across. And then again, I'm going back to the VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp this. And wait till you see how beautiful this is. I just love this so much. I did have a little mark there. I think my stamp wasn't completely clean, but we're not going to worry about that. That's probably going to get covered anyway. I'm taking a long strip of that Post-it and I'm placing it right above that little brick walk, right on the line of that, where that stamp image ends. And then I've got some Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink and one of the tiny blending tools from Tim Holtz. This has a little dome on the end of it, so I'm going to fill in. What I want to do is have all the little openings between the bricks be gray. So I just covered the whole thing in that gray. And then I've got my deep vermilion again, and I'm going to just add it to one side of the bricks and then just pull it across to the right side. So I'm adding it to the left side, pulling towards the right. You could do the opposite, whatever you prefer. And then I'll continue doing that all the way across. And look at how much dimension you get with these bricks. I just love this. So I'm pulling off that tape. And now I want to dry this panel because I want to put that tape back down over the bricks this time. And again, I want to leave a little bit of that black line showing because I don't want a gap between the little sidewalk and the sky. Now these are the Hero Arts Hero Hues Core inks. And in this little collection, they're the mini ink pads. And I'm using the Papaya. I'm starting with the Papaya. Then we'll transition into Butter Bar. And then the lightest color will be the Dandelion at the top. I am using a Hero Arts blending brush, just a small one, to do my blending. And I'm going to now start adding that Butter Bar. I will keep coming over these colors and doing some more blending. So I'm just kind of starting by laying down a layer of each of these colors. There's that dandelion. And I really just wanted a little shadow right along that little brick walk. So I'm going to just kind of keep blending that in and keeping that papaya color down towards the tape. And here you see me adding a little bit more. I just wanted to darken that up a bit better. Now I know it looks a little tiny bit blotchy right now, but when it dries completely, it'll dry nice and smooth. I've got some Wink of Stella. I squeezed a little bit of my Wink of Stella down onto my glass medium mat. I spritzed it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to spatter this entire panel, and that's going to give us a little sparkle in the sky. Let's go ahead and remove this, and then I'll set this aside to dry. So I'm going to start my assembly of the truck. I'm going to start adding these little pots of flowers right along the bed of the truck. So I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'll just place a tiny line of it right at the bottom of each of these pots. Now you could certainly color these pots in all different colors. I was kind of trying to keep them the same because I wanted the flowers to stand out. So I thought if I kept all these little pots the same color, you'd really notice the colors of the flowers. Now I've got one extra set of flowers there that I'm going to set aside for our little scene. And I'm grabbing my 3D foam tape. I'm going to place plenty of it along the back of this, and we'll be popping that up on the card. But first, let's go ahead and grab that Fresh Flowers banner, that little sign, and I'm using my Cricut weeding tool just to pull the backing off of these small foam squares. And now that'll pop up nicely on our little truck. For the card base, I've got some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. I'm scoring it at 4.25 inches, just pressing that out with the bone folder. And now I want to create a nice background. So I've got the Easter Season 2 paper pack, and look at this. This is beautiful. I'm going to be using those polka dots there on the left-hand side. But I'll give you a little quick peek at some of these beautiful papers, and these are double-sided papers. So I grabbed those polka dots, I cut it down to size, so that would be 5.5 by 4.25. I'm going to just place some glue all over, and this will fit perfectly on our card front. Now let's go ahead and place this panel down, and I'm just centering that. And now for the truck, we can go ahead and remove that backing. Again, I'm using that Cricut weeding tool. I removed all that backing, and I'm just going to center this down here towards the bottom. And then let's go ahead and pop up these flowers. Now I am going to add a double layer to these to make these pop up twice as high as the little truck. So that'll kind of be in front of our little truck. Again, I'm kind of thinking of this as like a little pop-up flower shop along the side of the road. So I just thought that would be fun. And then I've got this little bird. Again, I'm going to pop up these two birds on the top. And I'm also going to pop up that one that's going to be sitting kind of on that little sidewalk. Now for the bee, I'm going to use one on the front of the card. I'll just glue that into one of these little pots. I've got my Jelly Roll white gel pen. I'll add a few highlights here and there just to make everything pop out a little bit better. I'm going to add it to all of my little flowers. I'm just adding it to the center of those light pink flowers. And then I did decide to add it to these bricks as well. So I did all of those little bricks just to bring out that highlight a little more. I've got some baker's twine. This is a yellow and white baker's twine that I just had in my stash. Went ahead and wrapped that around 3 times. And I'm using the reverse tweezers. So that'll just clamp that and hold it while I tie my bow. And then I just snipped off any excess. And now I'm going to stamp this little pot of flowers one more time for the inside of my card. I just thought it would be nice to finish off the inside. Lately I've been wanting to do more of that. And for the sentiment, you see we have a couple nice choices here. I'm going to grab that one that says "Wishing you every bloomin' thing" from the Mrs. set from Art Impressions. So let's stamp that again onto some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And then I'm going to layer that up onto some of that same polka dot paper we used before. Let's go ahead and glue these two together. I just cut with my paper trimmer a little square of each of those, and you can see that's the same little flower pot that we had on the front. And then let's go ahead and glue this down. We'll center this on the inside of the card. Again, I've been trying more often to finish the insides of the card, just so that when I go to grab a card now, I don't have to sit and figure out what I want to put inside. And when it's a birthday card, it's pretty easy to do. So I've got my black Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. This is a permanent pen. This is a 0.1 millimeter, so it's nice and fine and will allow me to do some nice little stitching. And then I added a couple little hash marks. Now here's one of the Front Porch Series. We're going to grab that little topiary. But here's where I wanted to show you that a lot of these flowers from these sets would work really well with this truck. You've got a little potted plant. You've got the other little bush. You've got some flowers in baskets, some tulips there. Even the sunflowers would be great in the fall. And here you've got some daffodils. And then this set you need to create the front porch. So that is part of the Front Porch Series. That's your basic die set. And then these are all the add-ons. There's another little can with some flowers in it. So again, you have lots of choices. I'll grab the light green, green, and yellow to color the little topiary. Starting with that lighter green, we'll add some of the darker green for a little bit of shadowing. And then I like to grab my yellow for some highlights. And I usually do it at the end. So you can blend with the yellow, or you can blend first like I'm doing and then come in with the yellow. You do just want to make sure after you're done using the yellow over top of all of these greens that you clean it off really well. You don't want to transfer that yellow to your next, or that green, I'm sorry, to your next project. So just make sure you clean it off. And to do that, you just scribble it onto your scrap paper until you remove that green ink. And you do the same thing for the blender pen as well. Now for the little pot on this one, I decided I would change the color just a little bit just to make it stand out from the others. And I'm using light gray and gray. And then we'll add a little detail to this. We'll add a few little stripes with that white gel pen. You could certainly use a black gel pen or even use your markers to create a really fun striped pot in different colors. So let's blend that out really quickly. And then for the trunk, I'll use beige and mid-brown. Now off camera, I decided to stamp and die cut another set of the daffodils. Just thought it was a little bare back behind that little potted plant. And then here's where we can add our topiary, and that sort of fills in on either side of the truck nicely. I thought this topiary was nice because it added a little bit of height and it added some more of that green. I just felt like this project needed a little bit more of the green. So once that was dry, I grabbed my marker. I've got the peach pink, and I was just going to add some little berries to this topiary. I did go ahead and add all of those, and then I was looking at it and I thought it needed a little bit more dimension. So I decided to grab my Hero Arts lacquer pen, and this is the pink. And this is going to give it a little bit more dimension, and I'll show you that when I'm done. But you just want to squeeze it out. I do like to squeeze it on my scrap paper first. Make sure you get any bubbles out. You can see I'm doing that there. And then once you get it flowing, then go to your project. Now, if the ink underneath it is wet, it could draw up a little bit of that green. So you may want to wait until the greenery is dry before you do that. I've got that gel pen, and as I mentioned before, I'm going to add a few little stitch marks or stripes along that pot. So let's take a look at the finished card. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks again for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.